Okay, go right ahead, Paul. We're being recorded here, so the voice goes through the laptop. So just
Okay.
don't wander too far.
Oh, one. And scrolling?
And up and down would be.
Okay. How long have I got? 40 minutes and questions or something?
40 minutes, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Pretty exciting, isn't it, risk? I told John, he said, don't forget to mention a problem you had a few years ago. And every time I mention it, I get Pavlovian dog experience of dealing with lawyers. So, we've been in practice about 25 years. We do government work, housing work, institutional work, schools, museums, probably everything. We approach it from basically three perspectives: sustainable design, artisan design, and we work a lot with construction management and alternative procurement systems so that we can get the people working on the job that we would prefer to. Is that Ursula?
Yeah.
Oh. Hi, how are you? So you know all this. Just ask Ursula if you forget later on. We were pre-qualified with government 20 years ago. It took 2 years. We bought a QA system, we developed it, and then we were audited, like you've just been audited, and that enabled us to work with government. But we apply those systems to all of the projects we work on. I'm going to describe what architectural practice is in a minute. This is just an intro. Has anyone had something happen to them that didn't expect in life? Good, there you go, we've got one in the audience. That's what happens in architectural practice, because you're dealing with so many people and so many authorities and so many requirements and so many trades and so many processes that the likelihood that you'll come across a problem will happen, and it's a matter of what you can do to minimise the problems that turn up. Problems turn up on site every day. Problems turn up when you're dealing with consultants and you have to coordinate their input and a whole lot of people's input so that something fits. Something happened, when was Palmer House built? 20 years ago?
It was been opened in 1988.
There you go. So when I was a bit older than you, the government changed, so they decided to save money. So they cut something like, I can't remember the correct details, a certain amount of space out of the ceiling zone across Parliament House. It was a cost-saving measure, but it ended up costing 4 times the amount because they couldn't fit the services in, so they put in services, then pull them out. That's a true story. I just haven't mentioned that one, but I was thinking they just turn up for different reasons. So the government said, let's save money, but they spent 4 times the amount that they were hoping to save. So risk is managed through trying to identify risks before you start, and then setting up a process to monitor those potential risks as they occur. I can't quote this exactly, but with the there's a recent movie about looking into why the Iraq War happened, and was it Donald Rumsfeld talked about there's known risks.
Known knowns.
No knowns.
Unknown knowns and unknown unknowns.
Right. That applies to architecture as well. Not in his context though. So I just want to go through the phases. Can anyone help me? What are the phases of architectural service? Does anyone have that in their mind? It's okay.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay, no one's coming forward. So you understand that you're going to get engaged to do something. So that's a fee proposal, yes. Services and fees. Then the next stage might be, this is simplified, but it's how we operate. And from our 8 points of architectural service, we have about a 20-page checklist. So there's service and fees, then there's a briefing, then there's consultants required, there's local authorities, development approval, or heritage. There's a preliminary design phase, a final design phase, documentation for tender, regardless of the procurement process. Then there's tender, and then there's construction, and there's post-construction evaluation. So in amongst those, we allocate 8 items. And I'm just going to take you through the 8 items and how risk can turn up in any one of those items. Recently, we were asked to do a master plan by a private organisation, and 3 architects had told me that this organisation's scope creeps, which means that you agree on a scope of work for agreed fee, and then they just keep adding in work to be done. So we itemised everything out that we were going to do and what we weren't going to do, and then they said we were a little bit particular. But we spent 2 weeks with them itemising the scope, and the guy who was a little bit younger than me said, I've never seen anyone detail a scope of service so much. And I said, well, we want to be sure, given that we've never worked with you before, that we give you what you want. So the strategy was several things. We're here to serve, and this is all that we're going to do, and this is the costs, and this is what we're not going to do. So with a known client, we sometimes start a project and we'll discuss the fees after we've started it. A client that we've had for many years, we just start the work. I don't recommend that. But with the right relationship, it's possible, provided there's an element of trust and honour amongst that, which is still alive in the world. But you definitely need to work out what it is you're going to do, and what is the fee for what you're going to do, and what you're not going to do. So you should always consider, as part of risk management, inclusions, we include this, and exclusions, we exclude this. If you don't start a job off with that and a clear understanding of what you're doing for your money, you can get caught. And when I started practice about 26 years ago, I was offered a job from another architect, and it was for a house. And he'd been working with a client and they'd done sketch designs, and the architect friend had told me, said, I can't work with this client. I said, oh, that's fine, we'll take it on. But we took it on for a fixed fee, and we ended up having 6 months of meetings, 2 a week, Wednesday nights and Saturday nights for 3 hours. I was about 34, had a mortgage, I had 2 children, and I didn't think to isolate or quantify the amount of meetings. We never do anything now with anyone without saying we will provide this many meetings and we'll detail the agendas and the outcomes. And then if the client wants another meeting, we'll say, yeah, sure. Sometimes we even throw them over free because we're really good. But we do quantify it, because there's an example of how difficult it is to quantify your time, and meetings is one area that can really blow out.
Well, so what happened with this client and the number of meetings?
We used to just always honour our fee. We just did the work. That's why I won't retire, but we've got a good reputation. He even called me actually 2 nights before Christmas to talk about paint colours, but I said, oh, I was busy. He was pretty well a user and abuser. I haven't put that in here, but there's people who will quite openly use and abuse your trust. So do the right thing and quantify what you're doing and quantify what you're not doing. That's pretty important. Then you're off to a good start, John.
I think you were going to give an example of what happened with this monument as well.
Oh, that one. Sorry, I didn't want to repeat old news, but you haven't heard it. Sorry. This is the RAF Memorial. So this is an existing sculpture. All these back here are granite walls, photo etched, and there's bluestone painting, and there's bronze cappings. So there was an artist concept sketch, and we then designed and documented and put it out to tender and got it built. And the F-111s, when they still had them, were coming down Anzac Parade on the opening with the Prime Minister. So this is a fair few years old. And the Chief of Defence. But 8 weeks out, the government does this. So we've been given a fee. We're given a fee for service and a scope of work and a deadline that can't be shifted. It can't be shifted because they organise it way ahead. And so they double the scope of work 8 weeks out. And that scope of work included bronze casting, photo etched granite and bluestone. And I had the ponytail at that stage. I didn't have it in the job. So that sort of work, we just dropped everything in our office and we got paid more for it. But that wasn't the biggest issue. The biggest issue was sourcing more bluestone because it came from a particular quarry that didn't have any. Getting more bronze done and extending some work on the granite. And in the end, it opened on the day, and the bronze plaque was put up by a guy who drank a bit too much. He was a Scottish stonemason, and I sat in the audience with my hat on, just praying that the plaque wouldn't fall off. It was just held on with a bit of epoxy. It was before fast epoxy, I guess. Anyway, that's beyond your control. So all we did was list everything that had to be done and then source the materials. But it sounds easy, but it was one of the hardest jobs we've ever done. And there was no end date. We did another one that's straight on the Year Walk. Do you know that? It's a musical score in front of the library. And there's these little precast bollards. On that job, unfortunately, the precaster had his legs chopped off in a mincing machine. And they also doubled the scope of work 3 months out, and that was opened again by the Prime Minister. Things happen. We weren't involved with the precast, it was Premier Precast out of Queanbeyan. It's a very tragic thing. But it still had to be open on the day because everyone's signed up for the day. Alright, so that's the scoping of service and then briefing. The briefing can change, so you have to document what did you brief, what did you want, and then when that changes, you have to know what wants. I know James talked about quality assurance. Document everything. In fact, the first thing I learned when I finished my degree and was going for my exam was write it down. So everything's written down. Even though we've got emails, so we don't print all emails anymore. We used to. In fact, when emails came out, we used to write a letter and scan it and then attach it to an email. So we don't do that anymore. It's hard to believe that's what happened. Insurances. There's lots of people need insurances. How are we going for time?
Fine.
Okay. With insurances, you need insurance yourself. And you need to make sure everyone else has insurance. The problems I've come across are just a couple. Consultants will ask you to sign a form that limits their liability. What it does is it increases your liability, and it can waive the cover that you have of your own professional indemnity insurance. You don't have to know all this. You just have to write it down, write insurance, know all the areas you have to check, and go on and ask for advice. Ask an older architect, ask an insurance firm, ask an institute, whatever. But you do need to have insurance cover. And I've been in 3 legal issues over the last 27 years, and it's only recently that I needed it. Because in the other cases, we were able to sort things out, or it was someone else's fault, or we were taken to court, but we won. Just recently, we had insurance cover until last June. A problem happened on June the 29th. We notified our insurer, we think there's a problem. But then in negotiating the new insurance, the insurance broker went to another insurance company. And then when I said 2 weeks later we had got a problem, he said, oh, can you just sit on it for a bit because I don't know that you're covered because they don't cover pre-existing conditions. So this May, there was a legal letter came to us and we notified the insurer again about the same issue that happened on the 29th of June. And we said, we've got a problem. We've got a letter from a solicitor. And so we sent it to them. And we've done about 8 months' work ourselves as an audit trail of what happened. I'm not speaking in details, but in fact, just keep a record of everything, every meeting, every site minute, everything. Keep a record of a written record. And then the insurance company came back and said 2 things, which were really nice. If we have to pay out money because of what you've done, which I think is unlikely, you'll only have to pay this amount, which is the excess. You can negotiate the excess. It's $5,000. We negotiate a big excess because we don't get sued much. And you can negotiate a small excess, but your premium goes higher. Is this interesting, by the way? Okay. It doesn't sound interesting when you study architecture, but it is important. So we have cover. We know we have an upper limit of how much we have to spend, and we've spent a lot more on that researching the problem, which we think now is the builder's fault. And the insurance company said, and by the way, next year's premium, you won't have to pay any more money because you've been so thorough. And so that's really important, because if you have insurance cover and then you have something that goes wrong, and then you pay the excess and you get covered by insurance, If you've been completely negligent in your process, then you'll pay for it forever, because on your record is that you didn't do the job properly, and you're likely to cause insurance companies harm, because they're not there for anything other than making money. That's not a slight on insurance companies, they are a business. So you've got to do your homework and be in a good space so that you can continue to function and continue to get professional indemnity insurance. We tell this different every year, John, I've realised.
Don't forget to talk about the sewer man.
Oh, okay. That's coming.
Okay.
Coming. We offered to build a building for an architect about 25 years ago. I had a builder's license, an A-class builder's license, and I couldn't get builders to build it. So it was an existing house with a spiral built on top of it, like an Archimedes spiral. The clients used to change their mind all through the job, so we went from a lump sum contract to a construction management contract where I was paid a fee and we tendered the trades. With me on that? So we got several prices from joiners and tilers and painters. But the client didn't tell us that they didn't have the money. So every time they wanted to change, we weren't the architects, by the way. We would design the change, document the change, get a price, then go back to the client and say, can you afford it? So it was torturous. Went for 18 months. So I know there's meant to be a hyphen there. You need to work out how the client's paying for the job. And you need to also know when you talk to a client, are they the client who's going to pay you? Do they have authority to receive your invoice or not? And so we've had occasions where we worked on a whole job and then we found out towards the end of the job that was our client representative, but they had no authority and they had no ability to pay, so then we had to negotiate a fee and payment. That was in retail. It's another story, isn't it? So another question, risk management is who's paying, who's authority to pay, and can they pay? Is that gone backwards? No. We talked a bit about briefing and fees. We still get caught between a client brief and a client budget. So we do jobs now, we do passive house, 10-star house. We now cost the job after the first meeting, and we give the client a cost range from 6-star, 8-star, and 10-star. It's easy to digest. It relates to quality of work, it relates to air tightness, it relates to insulation levels, and it relates to a range of passive house, for example, technologies. So from a basic 6-star to an 8-star. And how we do that is we take, from the first briefing, before we sketch, we allocate areas against each room that they want, or each space, plus external works, plus local authorities, plus consultants, plus landscape. And then we apply rates. And that's from experience, because we've been doing this a long time, and we work with quantity surveyors. And as part of the costing, we also go to trades and we'll get joinery costs. Did you ask a question? Oh. We ask joinery tenders based on a scope and a type of finish, and we get window prices, because window prices are varying from, like on the same job, we can get a price of 17 grand up to 90 grand, same project. Double and triple glaze, PVC, timber composite. So we help the QS, but because they don't have that, they can't accurately, for example, our projects price joinery works, and the windows technology is going too fast. So with this one, with a sketch can be great, but the reason before we do this is we determine in the briefing the areas, and then we apply costs, particularly with non-experienced clients, not government necessarily, but it can be, but anyone who's not built before, so that you can say, is that what you want, and say, please approve the budget. Yes, $1 million is fine. Or no, we didn't want to spend that much. Because you don't know. Like, when you start briefing, you can say we want this, this, and this. And in my early years, which is what happens when you get out, a willingness to design to brief, you're designing to a brief, but until you check the budget against the client's real intent, you're just wasting time. So we start with the budget based on a briefed area and different levels of quality. And then when we start sketching, we've already got an idea of room sizes, finishes, quality, and whether or not we're anywhere near their real budget. And there was a saying years ago, never tell an architect your budget because they'll always exceed it. That's just because the architects before you have misbehaved. You really want to find out their budget and you want to test their budget. And then you can start designing because you know their budget. I have a client at the moment, we're doing like a 2 living pods connected by a link. It's for their mum at the moment, it'll be one house because they've got teenage kids. Then when they get older, it'll turn into their mum's place and their place. So we're designing to be able to be converted over time. And they have a very tight budget. And the client said, and you have to tell us if we ask for something we can't afford it. And so we now every meeting say you can't afford that. And we're saying it because they can't afford it. We've got 250 square metres, and basically on a passive house level, we get about 4,000 square metre. We've got a budget, their budget is very tight, so everything they've asked for, oh, we really like rock walls. Do you know how much a rock wall costs a square metre? Well, once you work that out, you multiply it by the area of the wall and you compare it to the QS estimate, it's not affordable. So know what you're talking about. You're designers, and designers, you need to know what things cost, and you need to know how to manage a client. So designing exceeds budget. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about. About 10 years ago, we did a house design for someone who really wanted things. And we don't do much housing. So we did this house extension based on what they wanted, and we costed it as an estimate. And it was about 400K. And he said, oh, I've only got 334K. Now, did you notice that? It wasn't 300K or 350K, it was 334K. So we put it out to tender and it came in about 420. I've only got 334K. So we redesigned it, went through it, and we did it all to our own cost. And we put it out to tender again. It came in about 358K. That's not bad, is it? Client said, I've only got 334K. So we redesigned it for the third time. We redocumented it and renegotiated it with the lowest tenderer, and we got to 334K. And they did the construction superintendents. I didn't realise that their budget was 334K. I just heard about 334K. It was actually exactly 334K. So you've got to also know the nature of your client. What are they really talking about? What's important to them? We have briefing documents now that ask what's important to you. When do you want the job finished? When do you want to move in? How much do you want to spend? What's your latitude? And you'll get that information, you won't know that it's accurate. If they're not involved in this industry, they're coming at it for the first time. That's that one. Okay. Engineers love doing what they do. I'm not bagging engineers. Some of my best friends are engineers. But they still want to put, like, would you put a computer chip on your head if you had no hair? So they often don't have a concept of a building or an environment as an organism. So the way we're designed is pretty clever, and the studies of biophilia and nature can reveal a lot of things about design. So what you need to do with a consultant, you do need to help them understand what are you trying to do if they're interested. So you need to have the right relationship. The second thing is, what is it that they need to do, and do they know how to do it? Because consultants are like everyone in the world. They're all different skill levels. So if you're being asked to do something involving a lot of acoustics or complex data management or a sustainable design that's got no air conditioning, it's all managed with a BMS system, you need to source your consultants well. I like to choose experienced consultants, and I then develop a relationship with them and stay with them. But I always have more than one consultant in case one can't help me out. So if you're getting into work that involves consultants and consultant coordination, you want them to look after you. So it's like anything. If you've got good people on the team, great. It doesn't mean things won't go wrong, but you do need to know that you need really good people to give you really good information. And the earlier or younger you are in the profession, the better quality information that you need. That's about appropriate skill and experience. Resources to meet the program. If we're a small fish, we're just a small fish, really. They can be caught on a developer job where they drop your job and get onto other things and you have no control over their program. That's why behind all this is relationships as well. So if you can develop relationships and say this is an important job and it's time critical, or this is an important job and it's not time critical, we've got flow in the program. Use that so that they know you're not crying wolf, that when you do need something, you do need it. We now don't engage clients unless we go through governance, which includes all the consultants, for many reasons. One, I don't have to manage payments. I don't have a problem with tax and accounts. I then have all the liability resting between the client and the consultant. And this is another one, inclusions and exclusions. A good relationship, people will look out for you because you know they've got ongoing work. We've had occasions over the years where clients said, I haven't allowed for that. And I think, well, why didn't you allow for that? Well, I didn't think to. It might sound strange, but say if you're dealing with a hydraulic consultant and there's maybe fire services and a few other things, they might have allowed for not for hydrant study. Why didn't you allow for hydrant study? Well, you didn't ask me. I'm just saying you have to know their consultancy, and then you have to know how to work out whether everything's covered or not. We've asked for QA checklists from consultants to see if they know what they're doing. Oh, Silman. Okay, so here's one. About 8 years ago, we were asked to do a library childcare centre on a site, and we had checked Axonapi and before you dig, and we asked Betcon. Anyway, there was an ungazetted sewer main. It was a sewer main known by Actu. It's really old. It was 5 metres deep and it was 500 mils diameter, or 2 feet or something. Anyway, it's a sewer main through Canberra, but it wasn't gazetted. In the BER, the Building Education Revolution, we were given 7 schools to design and build in 3 years. That was great, and we did. But we documented and put this out to tender, and because it was so busy, you couldn't get installation, there was other things you couldn't get, and you couldn't get certifiers to sign off on the building in time, and everything had to be done really fast. It's a recipe for risk to occur. So we had trouble getting hydraulic consultants, so we met a firm on a community job previous to that, and they said, oh, we can help you out on this. So they brought down a hydraulic engineer from Sydney who didn't know the lay of the land here. We asked, can we build this building on this site? He said yes, because there's no gazetted sewer main that he knew of. And so when they came to start, we're just waiting on that to sign off through the certifier. We've actually dug footings, or the builder has, and they found the ungazetted sewer main that actually wouldn't sign off on it. So everything has stopped. We spent 2 months working with Actu. It was going to cost $2,000 a linear metre, and there was 200 metres of sewer main to shift. And they have to dig a hole 5 metres wide down to 3 metres, and then 2 metres wide down 2 metres for safety. Isn't that a big hole? Can you imagine that? I think it was cheap actually, 2,000 a linear metre. So the fact short of it was we had to redocument the whole building into 2 buildings on different sites at our cost. We didn't ask for the professional indemnity insurance to cover us because no one sued us. Our client who gave us all this work said, fix it. Now, if I think back, I might have said, no, sue me, but because it wasn't our fault. We tried to chase money off the consultancy national firm. They had 3 solicitors on staff. So after $30,000 and a 4-page letter from a construction expert lawyer in Sydney, I just gave up and I copped it. And it cost me about 3 months' income over a year. That's the firm's income, not my income. So it was a lot of money, and it was because the local people and the system wasn't understood by the consultant from Sydney. He just looked at Betcon records and there's nothing there. That was awful. I felt ill. I'm okay now. Tree protection causes me the most grief. I love trees. I plant more trees on every job than we pull out, if we pull out any. But I once had a job where we had a tree on a site boundary, and we spent 6 months and we built a building around it. It was at Darabont College. It was a technology building. But we kept getting referred to another person. This is about 8 years ago. And we'd ring up and say, can you tell us, can we build this building? What's the clearances? What are the requirements of this big gum tree? Anyway, it turned out that these two people sat next to each other. If anyone's ever seen one of the John Cleese movies, Fawlty Towers, where he wanted to reach down the phone and grab someone's throat, it was that sort of feeling, because they really didn't help. It's like they were two different planets, but they actually sat next to each other and they did not help us. And so we've worked in lots of places where we've got to protect a tree. That's fine, but you just want people to help you. You're not always going to get helped. Whether they like their job or whether, I'm not talking about tree protection unit in general. I'm just saying you're not always going to get the response you want. Not everyone's going to pick up the phone and say, I'd love to help you. I mean, I'd like them to say that. So again, you need to probably get to know who to speak to. Sometimes it's worth going and visiting from whatever angle you like, and developing a relationship so you know a face and a name that you can say, if you need to, would you please help me because I'm having trouble getting through this gate. There's all different ones, and they all have different requirements, and there's lots of them. And they don't stay the same, so the requirements don't stay the same, so you have to check up all the time. So we'll hire a certified to help us with the building code or the NCC, and we look for user-friendly people in local authorities. Sorry, I'm looking your way. So it's again about relationship and knowing who to talk to. How is that risk management? Well, if you can't get the job approved, you're stuck. If there's no leverage or no way of getting assistance because you really do need to get the job approved, there's nothing you can do. So early on, get to know the people who matter, who can help you or not, and get to know how you might use that relationship over time. So as part of risk management, we try to get to know the people who may help us or hinder us. We've probably touched on this, but say you did all your work and you briefed, you got your fees set up, and then you scoped the work and you costed it, and you got this budget. If you get it from a QS, none of the detailing's in it. None of the quality levels in it. Like we write a spec for the initial costing before we've designed anything. We design a qualitative spec. What can happen is, in your enthusiasm and the client's enthusiasm, and everyone's enthusiasm, you basically increase cost. You can almost do it without realising it. I know you probably think, well, you're doing this a long time, you should know. But it can happen so easily because it can be a single box, let's say this alcove. Or we had 2.55 ceilings and let's make it raked. Or there's some angle that adds in, or let's look at a different detailing which adds in documentation on this phase. The design exceeding the budget, it happens almost by stealth. And so why we give 3 quality levels of cost estimate is because then we can say, oh, we had a cost estimate based on 6 star, for example, or this quality. If it's not housing, it could be commercial. But now we're starting to talk about, in the design phase, a quality level or a scoping level that exceeds what our original cost estimate was. So you need to be clear. You need to refer back, what did the minutes say? Oh, we costed it based on this scope. And then you can inform the client, well, we're talking things now that are not this level. You're talking about stone cladding or timber veneers or what, I don't know. So this happens if you're not mindful. It happens very easily in design. Would you say that as well, John? We're all enthusiastic about our work, otherwise maybe we wouldn't do it. So constant review. So in our minutes, as part of our minuting through the whole job, we have design minutes and we have construction minutes. And we always have these items. We always have a risk, cost, program, local authorities, consultants. Then we talk about design and other things. But there's standing agenda items on your minutes so that you can keep track of what you're trying to do. I don't know why I've got that there. Triple glazing. Oh yes. In final sketch plans, it's also an opportunity. So we've got, in planning, we just do plans. I know it's a 3D model already. We only show the client, particularly non-industry aware clients, we only show them the plans so that they stay at a planning level. So they don't get excited or anything about the building form. We stay with them at a planning level. And we do our work at planning. We make sure spatial relationships and circulation and all those things are covered. We don't show them elevations. We stay with planning until we've got the planning right. It's a particular strategy, and I don't know whether everyone uses it, but then we go to 3D. We've already done a 3D model. At the 3D model, you can test things. So in housing, because there's a few things that are happening that are so diverse in cost, we tender joinery and windows and sometimes other things. At this point, we actually tender them to trades we know. They might be nominated trades. And one job, for example, we tendered 7 in our first passive house 5 years ago. We tendered the windows to, I thought it was 7 companies, 5 companies. The cheapest was $35,000 for double glazed aluminium. I think it was thermal break. And the dearest were Australian double glazed windows, timber composite, maybe E-glass. But the ones we chose here were triple glazed from Germany, totally airtight and brilliantly made. So it just showed us what was possible by using this stage as a checkpoint. It influenced our ability to get towards a passive house level. The house performs at 9.8 stars. They hit it 2 days in the year. The lowest temperature is 16.5 degrees, and they cool it 8 days a year with a little 1.5 or 2 kilowatt air conditioner that's covered by the photovoltaics. But sketch plans is good for testing many things, because we've got a model in our scenario, and you can test budget at that point. I mean, there's plenty of developers who will build off your model and say, "Oh, that's all we need." Okay. What time is it, John?
It's 4:15.
Okay. I'm going to go a bit fast and leave time for questions. We've talked a bit about local authorities. Documentation readiness. Shut down or cancel. If you document the job thoroughly, there's a good chance that the price of the building will reflect that. If it's done cursorily and not detailed, then it's more open for variations under lump sum. There's stories about if it's over-documented, it'll cost you more. Well, it depends what you're documenting. If you document shadow lines everywhere other than corners, yes, but you've got to know what you're documenting and why. So documentation is a chance for getting things right and detailed, but it's another example of where you document outside the scope of the quality or scoping level that you set up at the beginning of the job. So I always refer you back. What were you trying to do at the beginning? Has that scope changed? Have you now gone to a far more detailed documentation and detailed system than was originally out for? We do ask people outside our business to review our documents on projects so they can have a fresh eye. So we pay another architect to have a good look at it sometimes. Many times, if we've got a lump sum with an open tender with government, if you don't have something adequately specified, then the builder will say, I'm going to go for this. And there'll be a variation if you really wanted something else. Does anyone here have written a specification? Do you love writing specifications?
I actually love it.
Yes. Do you love it? All of those who haven't, develop a very positive, loving relationship with specifications, because they will look after you. Because you know what the builder will do? The builder will do, open up a page and say, there's nothing there. And that's when you get in the pit of your stomach. Oh damn, I didn't specify that. So what is it out for? The worst case. And it's not a problem. I mean, that's what a builder doing a lump sum tender will do. But the amount of times we have a spec system that sits on top of NAT spec. So we have a schedule system by trade, and then the NAT spec sits underneath because it's quite extensive. So if we miss something, it will be covered by NetSpec, but it won't say use, D equals this long. So we have tables, and they're very easy to find things, and we developed them many, many years ago. They're over 25 years old. We keep refining them, but the thing is they can become something that really helps you. As part of risk, specifying it correctly, we also have tender schedules where we ask the builders to list everything trade by trade, and we ask for a whole lot of other things. So during tender, there's an opportunity to get these in and compare them. So we compare joinery, painting, all those different prices across the tender, whether it be open tender or selected tender, and then we can see if there's an anomaly. So the prices might be similar, but there's anomalies, and so then we use that post-tender pre-contract period to review all the documents, all the specs, and all the anomalies. Have you allowed for this? And still you'll get an argument. And then we bind the contract, and we've got a builder and a contract, and all the notes from the post-tender pre-contract meetings. They're all banned in the contract. That's part of managing the risk of discrepancies in documents, because they do occur on every job. On mine, we mentioned about using a building certifier to carry out BCA check. The lowest cost can be a problem if they're poor documents. We've had a job where we wanted to build a single classroom based on a shed design with a brick plinth, and the builder's foreman left, and then he broke his arm. And so it took us 6 months to negotiate with a new builder to take over the project. All at our cost, because he couldn't complete the job. He'd only got up to steel frames. How do you avoid that? I don't know. But if you get 3 tenders, or 4 tenders, and there's one that's 80% and the others are grouped, the chances are that person's lost something buying a job or didn't know how to do the job. So the tender review should give you a warning bell. If there's a grouping and someone's outside that grouping, if they're above, it's likely they didn't want the job, or they didn't want to offend you. If the tender's well below, they may have missed something. So then you have to really go through everything with them and ask them to review it. They can either then pull out or accept the tender. But you do not want a builder on the job who's losing money. It's just hard to get the job finished. If there's no liquidated damages, they'll end up working on other jobs so they can then come back after work and do this job. And we've had that happen. We've had jobs run for a year over and they didn't need to. It's just the builder couldn't afford to turn up every day. He had to go and earn money elsewhere. It happens in architectural practice as well. Oh, there's so much on contract admin. Contract admin is, you need a lot of experience, in my opinion, to run contract admin well. You need to set up all the documents right, you need to have the right contract, you need to have the right post-tender pre-contract review. You hope that you haven't gone to open tender, like some of our current jobs, it's just open tender. I was yelling at 3 builders one day, they're actually project managers, and the client saw me and said, I've known you for 15 years, but I've never seen you build a builder. But they did a job where they had to, we allowed for a drummy wall, 20% of this wall could be replaced in 5 stories of toilets in a government building. So they took off the drummy wall and they re-rendered it. And then the wall was bellied. So then after they'd re-rendered it all, and we'd agreed to a variation, in other words, we'd have a 20% removal, they got in there enthusiastically with their jackhammer and removed a lot. Sorry, it was all drum. You need to pay us the extra 80%. Okay. That's called a latent defect. You just don't know what's going to happen. So they re-rendered all the walls. And then they called me and said, oh, we've got a problem. Oh, yeah, what's the problem? And I held up a straight edge and it's all bellied. I said, why are you telling me this now? They wanted us to then fix that as well. So pay for it twice. They knew it was bellied, they rendered it, they did nothing about it, then they said, now you have to pay us to fix the belly. And that's where we said polite words, yelled at each other, and they didn't get paid for it. Those things can happen to anyone at any stage of their career. And I made sure I wouldn't work with these guys again, and then they rang me up today and offered me a job on a heritage job because we can't recommend it with 2 other clients, so now I have to work with them. But the thing is, if you've got the right set of documents, the right set of knowledge, the right set of consultants, and you've got the right procurement system, you're a long way there. But if you've got a builder losing money or who's bought the job and wants to rip it into you, At the hospital, we were called in to document at a high standard the outpatients refurbishment, which they wanted across 11 stages to keep operating. The job before us had been one which was a lift upgrade by a local project management firm. It was about $380,000, and the variations exceeded the construction budget. And so they wanted to fix that. It's because it was open tender, the documents were poor, they bought the job, and then they just ripped into the client. And that term, ripped in, is exactly what they did. So then we documented quite thoroughly. We spent a year at the hospital, and then they said, oh, your work is costing too much in tender, so they went back to the old system. So we did the best we could. We don't always get it right. Talk to some other people if you start your practice early and you don't have experience in this realm. Don't start out. Just talk to builders and architects and get knowledgeable. Don't do this work without experience or support. At least I've said that. Shop drawings. There's lots and lots of shop drawings. We once had 200 shop drawings of steelwork for a laboratory. The shop drawings are checked, they're looked at, but there's the design, and the shop drawers are meant to get it right for the design. We had a whole lot of steel beams in between posts sticking out of the wall. They had to be all cut out. And the argument then is, but you approve the shop drawings. So we never approve them. They're suitable. We say they're suitable for use in the contract. Now, I don't know where it sits legally. So they show us the shop drawings, but now they're responsible for making the job work. But in their detailing, they had beams in the wrong place. So the argument always is, well, you saw them, so it's not our problem, but it actually is their problem. But you need to be very careful. So go through the whole issue also. When you look at shop drawings, what are you looking at? We return them often to be redone. Often they're done to make things easier or cheaper, and you may not even notice it. So shop drawings are enabling particularly steelwork, mechanical services to be built, but there's a lot of risk in them, and you do need to spend time and also have other people with experience spend time reviewing them. So if it's steelwork, you want the structural engineers to review them, you want the client to review them, and you review them. Sometimes we even get a quantity surveyor to review them as well. So be mindful about shop drawings. Defects period on houses ideally 12 months, but in some spec homes that's probably 3. But the seasons in Canberra and the soil types and other things show up problems. Usually we've got a 12 months defects period where we're looking at what might happen in the building in the defects period. But it's also a chance to review the project, and as part of QA we're meant to audit. If something goes wrong, we need to say why it happened and what would we do different next time or do differently. That's it. I'm exhausted.
Questions?
That's because it was such a good talk. We covered it all.
So, Paul, can you talk a bit more about recording everything? So, what do you do with that record?
We keep it for 7 years.
You keep it for 7 years. Do you share it?
Okay, well, the sort of records we keep under our pre-qualification, we keep all significant project records, minutes, email correspondence. We don't print all email correspondence now because we've got it in the cloud. We keep minutes, contracts, drawing issues that were signed off at PSP, FSP, and documentation readiness. So that's a record of briefing notes, anything, so that if something happens, and the trouble is we've only had 3 things happen in 27 years, 26 years. Only 3 things, but they were big. And so you don't know which job's going to turn up a problem. And we keep them by statute, I think it is, for 7 years in our archives at Fitchell. And so we audit each file. We have A4 project files, A3 project files, and drawing files. And ideally, each Friday we go through the particular projects we're working on, we go through and check. And we sign off. And we sign off any page or any minute, and we transfer information that hasn't been actioned to our QA register, which is sitting in the front of the file. On smaller projects, we keep all that information on what we call Team Central, which is just a register of all projects with actions outstanding. So we have a written record of everything that has to be done, and by auditing your folders and your projects, you get a chance to see, did you forget something? We have project checklists that are set up as part of our QA system, so we use those on big projects, and on small projects we create small checklists that are shared amongst the team. I don't know if that's answered your question, but...
I suppose what I'm, in previous years you've talked about record and report. Record and report. So really I think you were actually talking about basically being briefed by someone about something, and then you record that and then report it back to them as to what they told you in the first place.
Oh, like a return brief.
Well, just generally with any sort of communication.
Okay.
So someone rings you up and says, do this.
Yeah. Oh, yes, okay. If anything comes over the phone, I mentioned I said write it down, we'll always send an email saying so just to confirm. And that's your audit trail. We don't have to print it. Just said, you said this and we said this. And so sometimes when people start in the office, particularly if they've just come from uni, it's hard to get into the habit. You pick up the phone and you pick up your pen. And that sounds really basic. I'm sure you would all record what you're doing. But some people don't. And some people have to get into the habit. So you need a written record, and if need be, we'll verify it to a client if it's critical and there's a judgment made against it. But we always have at least a written record, and we have used those in our first court appearance, which was in 1996. It went for 18 months with a very small issue, but we had 2 boxes of pages, and it was just all written stuff, and that served us well. And so recording everything, and then the auditing. So whether that goes back to a client or consultant, whoever told you something to confirm something, particularly if a builder or someone through construction tells you something, you need to confirm that. And then, what was I going to say? I've lost my train of thought.
Report and record?
Oh yes, and then the auditing of these records, we do those monthly or weekly. So against a job that's going quite fast, like the RAF Memorial, did we pick up everything? And so you've recorded something, you've sent an email or sent a letter, or you've issued a drawing. All of those need to be signed off and monitored to make sure that the information on them has been actioned. Otherwise you'll end up having something sitting in a folder. Aim for every folder is have a line through it and a date on it. And that's part of our QA process. So yes, there's recording, reporting back in minutes. We use sometimes as checklists, and then the auditing of our in-house documents to know that we didn't miss something. We might have had to send something to the heritage thing and in a certain time frame, and if we don't, we'll miss the cut-off date, so we might have to start again. They're just little things. It's starting to sound like working as an accountant, isn't it? But a big part of it is that. And that underpins creative part of our practice. Very sound quality assurance systems underpin us being creative. So we see it as a good thing.
Questions? I have another question.
Yeah.
If no one else has a question. I think in the past you've, the one with the Sydney hydraulic engineer who picked up the sewer mains.
Yeah.
In the past you've described that as a latent condition. But listening to you today, it sounds like they should, because they were not local, they didn't know, and therefore it can't be considered a latent condition. Latent condition being something that's unforeseen.
Yeah.
So
if you go to demolish a building and you didn't know asbestos was in the wall, that would be a latent condition. That one there really, in my mind, was called consultant error now.
Consultant error, okay.
I was probably still breathing while I put it in its latent condition up.
So this is how Paul described it when he gave this lecture 2 years ago. The first time he gave this lecture, he was saying it was something that no one could have foreseen, and really the engineer should have known. But you see, now it's developing into the engineer was not local, and a local engineer would actually know.
Mm.
So it's no longer a latent condition because it's a known condition.
Mm.
Okay, one last which this is like a kind of a yearly series in a way. Last year you had a problem where you did a passive house project, and there was condensation on the inside of the ceiling.
That's still going. So there's a building that was made more airtight as part of quality control, and one area of the roof was meant to be sealed with expanded polystyrene foam and sealed to R6 level. The builder didn't. The builder took it out of the roofer's scope of work, who would have done it as a Kingspan product originally. They had a system that had to be installed. It was taken out of the roofer's package and put half in the roofer and half in the builder, because the builder got his dad and a few other people to do it and used a cheap product. So we were not aware that that was going to be split. And when the building developed some condensation, we didn't know what had happened. It wasn't designed as a passive house. It was just designed as an R6 installation, and the building just sealed up more. Because the previous buildings, we had windows where you could see through. So getting buildings airtight is quite a topical issue. So this in the end, basically everyone pointed in everyone else's direction, saying it's not our problem. So we notified the insurer, and then we did several things. We started asking project managers, roofers, and industry, why is this happening? There's a report put out about condensation in buildings in 2015 by the National Construction Code. They put it out with representatives from builders and engineers and the like. We didn't get any answers. They just said some of these products aren't to be used in Canberra, even though they're sold to be used in Canberra. And what the builder did doesn't work, and there was other people who said just use a traditional system, which is very air leaky. So we were trying to get a tighter building. I then studied passive house course. I just took that on. Then we met passive house consultants. There's two in Australia who work at a very high level. And so we spent about $42,000 in consultants' fees analysing the problem. And now we're helping government do the same. So it turned into a plus, but it wasn't at the time. And so we finished our work and presented it to the client. The bill said it's not our problem. And so that's when the client went. We said you better go and see a solicitor. They went to solicitors and talked, and then the solicitors sent those to the builder. But of course, they sent them to everyone, including us. And that's when we went to a professional indemnity insurance company. It's still ongoing, and as I said, we're now covered. But we've spent a lot of money and a lot of time and became passive house consultants in the process, certified, because it's a very big issue in the industry. We're getting colder nights. We got quite a lot of -10 last year. I don't know about this year. And not a lot is known about this issue. Since doing that, we've now started working with government and the Carbon Neutral 2020 team, and we proposed an opportunity to review one of their buildings. It was CMAC originally, and they were going to upgrade all the mechanical services in this building, but not touch the building envelope. So our consultant group now can analyse the building envelope and say what has to be done, and if it is done, minimises the amount of mechanical plant and money cost for heating and cooling in the years to come. So we're now working on a health building doing just that. We're analysing the building envelope. So instead of their budget, there's $7 or $8 million going towards mechanical plant, it will go now to the building envelope and reduce the mechanical plant and reduce running costs. That was an upside of that, which we didn't expect, but we just didn't know. So I guess one of the lessons was no one knew the answer to this. We had to spend 6 months finding people who could help us. And you'll come across situations in your own practice where you get caught. So yeah, be prepared to research as much as you can before you do anything. We never try a new product anymore. So I don't know if you remember Hebel Block, but Hebel Block came out, people were building Hebel Blocks on standard slabs in Canberra, which have quite a lot of movement. Now, the Hebel Block was based on a system in Germany where they use very rigid slabs. So a lot of people had Hebel Block houses that cracked. So we don't take on, if there's a new product, we don't use it. we wait till, we generally have 5 years. If it's used for 5 years and no problems turn up, we'll consider it.
So
That's a risk management strategy.
It sounds like in this case, there was a substitute of the system.
Yeah, and instead of one person being responsible, it was 2 people. So it's a roofer and builder. Instead of a roofer installing the system, and that's what they do, the builder took it out and decided to make some money again. And did it themselves with a different product.
Okay, well, I'm glad we got to the bottom of that.
Yeah. It's still going, but we've got a long way through it.
Okay, well, at least now we know, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right. Any questions for Paul? Practical questions? Worst thing that ever happened to him? He missed out on the first example, which was when they did an exhibition at the National Museum, where there was this big glass cylinder that when they were installing the exhibition, someone accidentally dropped this to...
It's a 900 diameter, 9 mil thick acrylic tube, 2.4 meters long, holding the central display, and all the indigenous population were coming to the opening the next day.
I think it was the first slide, and
that one. Yeah, so it takes 24 hours to make. It was dropped at something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the exhibition was opening at 5 o'clock the next day. Anyway, I don't know how, but a new one turned up. So that's, I don't know what. He was just walking backwards and he tripped. Yeah, so Indigenous elders from all over Australia are coming to see this. Anyway, so things happen. I don't know what would have happened if it hadn't turned up. Maybe it would have been on display without the acrylic tube. We wouldn't have got another job there, though. I don't think.
Okay, no questions?
Good luck.
All right, thanks.
Write it down.
Thank you, Paul. Oops, don't drop your glasses.
John, I've got another appointment.
Very good. Thanks very much for that. I will stop this and then